So, this is the grass carp, isn't it? So, Pterophangidon idella. Yeah, they got that one right. They're not. They don't get it all right. However, this one I don't know myself. This is the first time I've seen one of these. This is you can see the mouth part somewhere there. Very nice with just the fin on top. Doesn't seem to be signposted at all. Maybe they just don't know where it is. I can't remember. It's not a knife fish because I've got knife fish. They've got the fin on the bottom. More sturgeons. Russians seem to particularly like that. It's a symbol of the Russian River. And there's some grass carp as well, tolpigos they call it. Or amur, the eastern one. There's another huge European catfish in the shadows over there. Watch out for these wicker chairs that they put next to some of the aquariums. This is a terrarium with terrapins, Americans tend to say turtles, together with goldfish. This is the sort of thing people keep as pets. I would actually advise against keeping them together as pets, even though here it's happening. And the goldfish don't tend to have lost that much, even the slow-moving goldfish with the long fins do not tend to have lost that much by way of, and even they're not swimming out of the line of fire of the turtle until the last minute either. So how they do it so that they don't actually bite holes in the goldfish, I don't know. When I kept the two together I used to get holes bitten in my fish, so I promptly stopped doing it. I took the terrapins out and put them in a different place because I couldn't trust mine, even smaller than this by a long chalk, with fish. And you've got some educational films going on at the same time, but who wants that when you've got you've got some other things like lobster pots here. There's obviously it's a Tanganyika tank, isn't it, with Cynodontis here, and some another one there, it's something in the... No fry, that's interesting. This is beautiful with these bass-like things here. Very, very beautiful. I think they call it a peacock bass, is it? And this is Master Cymbalus, fire eel. That's not a very colourful one, but here was a beautifully colourful one. And I love its behaviour too. I was looking at it. I went around one time just taking photos. But the more photos I took, the more convinced I became that you really need to film this because it's the motion of some of these fish that really make them. This is a gourami. There's more gouramis here, basically the same species but different shapes and sizes and colours. I didn't notice that the first time round. There's one of your Amazon stingrays. The sting is right at the back here. So we all know who came a cropper with a stingray, so you can't muck around with them. If the guy's Crocodile Steve, nice barbs here, big collection of Indian barbs, and then the occasional sterlet, Acupensa ruthinus, is it? Sorry, stellatus, Sevriuga is this Pied Piper sterlet, Acupensa stellatus. That's the peacock bass tank. This is just koi carp. People like this, but of course it's far more common. You see a lot of people have koi in their garden. Some of them, of course, extremely expensive. Not necessarily all that exotic anymore. These are nice. Again, this is Tanganyika, isn't it? With these small Tropheus, I think they're called. They're not signposted in the least, so nobody can find out what they are by reading anything, but I think they're Tropheus or Pseudotropheus anyway. There's another one. Lovely to be able to do a museum and not only not have any signs up in English whatsoever, but also on top of that to not even have half of them in any language whatsoever. That's seem to be films of these ones here. They've got them eating berries. Films of them from here, I think. Oh, there's some. On this one, you've got the Cryptopterus basiris, is the glass catfish. It's called Stiklianny som in Russian. Barbustinisoni, Puntistinisoni is the this rather recent addition to the commercial trade. Appeared in a show about 10 years ago, and since then every fish shop's been full of them. First, they're very expensive. When I first saw them, I thought that it was another continuation of this old habit that they used to do with glass fish, putting dye in them, luminescent dye, but actually this is natural. So now these days you don't get that many glass fish with the luminescent dye, because if somebody wants that, there's actually a natural fish that does it. And that's quite apart from the neon tetras, which there aren't any here, which also is very luminescent. But it's been so bred in the trade that the luminescent quality of the neon and the cardinal tetra seems to have diminished, and they're not so popular now as they used to be. It was a fantastic thing to look at when I was a boy, but the ones you get these days are rather drab in comparison to what I remember. There's a nice, you can see a nice shoal there of the glass catfish. That's completely natural. These things look as though they might not be natural, but that's completely natural fish. And this is the only one I don't actually know. Cholseus macrolepidatus. There is a sign for that one. You've got angelfish in this one, and you've got this Heros down the bottom, Heros. One here with its nest down there that it's dug out, and another one right over there. So I think they've got two males there rather than a pair. It's a bit of a pity, really. What we got here? Oh, the lungfish, and it's moving. Isn't that good? That's good to see it moving, because that spends most of its day doing nothing. See the way that this is supposed to be a missing link. See its little arms and legs going there. It's foraging around. It's the lungfish is air breathing, of course, as the name suggests. And some people regard it as being like a link on the evolutionary chain, which is more in our direction, sort of like towards the Eriops and the things which are supposed to have left the sea and turned into amphibians. It's supposed to be like a fish which is on its way to becoming an amphibian. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's a lungfish. Whether it's on its way to being anything else, I don't know. I can't ask it. I don't speak lungfish. Slight leak on this tanker. I think they want to watch that a little bit, maybe. Just if anything starts leaking, it's certainly worth having a look. Leaks start small and get bigger. They've state here that this is Learius marmoratus, but I don't think so. I think that's Peronychthes, isn't it? Certainly this Learius thing doesn't get anywhere near as big as what these ones have got. This is Peronychthes by my money. There's one huge one at the back there that keeps guarding that territory. And then some big Geophagus with a big bumpy head, so if that's Balzani. What do they claim it is? Oh, they don't claim it's Geophagus at all. They claim it's Amphilopus citrinellus. And then a very beautiful but small shoal of this barb here, which is Lataristriga. They've got big and very pretty, very deep-bodied at that size. I love that barb when they get big, but of course the small ones are very common in aquariums, and many of the ones which you see in this continent of Europe, they never get more than about, well, they'd be lucky to achieve a quarter of the size of these wonderful creatures in this thing. There's another example of a gourami, the Asian one. the type species, more of the sort of size that you get them trying to grow to in aquariums, and then people give them to the zoo. So there's no shortage of these in public aquarium zoo. And there's panga, what you eat, Pangasius suchi. That's what you eat when you buy panga. And I don't advise it any more than I wouldn't advise to eat tilapia either. These tropical freshwater fishes come from places where there can be parasites, and those parasites can pass on. So certainly you mustn't make sushi or anything like that from them. And some people have got so little idea in restaurants that I really wouldn't put it past some people to get tilapia out or panga and start making sushi from it. And then, well, if there are, you've got ways of getting some very serious tropical diseases down that vector. So this is perhaps one of my favourite tanks in the whole aquarium here. Some people have been saying to their children that these are piranhas. They are, of course, red hook metinises. Everything in here seems to be very, very plant-eating. And these leporinas here, the Leporinas fasciatus, there was a pair dancing around earlier on. There's also this Dakota's here, sex fasciatus, a fish I've always wanted to have, never really got. On the rare occasion I've seen them and I've had tanks big enough to put them in, they've been extremely expensive. But Leporinas is also, it's a head stander, although it's not really standing on its head here. They call it a head stander. The more juvenile species, those ones are a bit more diagonal. Once they get to this size, they get a little bit less diagonal. Some of them are being a little bit diagonal. A big black shark there, Marulius chrysophaciodon, is up there. I've had one of those, it's beautiful. I love that fish, the shape of it and the behaviour. But what I like is that you've got full-sized fish here, not like the ones you get in normal fish tanks and what have you. This here you've got full-sized fish. You've got a group of, and they're behaving like adult fish. They're taking an interest in each other, almost going through the beginning of spawning rituals. You've got 3 metinists down there doing things you won't probably see in a fish tank. Those two are getting into it a bit, but a Leporina spoil things for them. Like earlier on I saw 2 Leporinas doing a mating dance as well in here. I wouldn't expect much to actually hatch out because of course they're here foraging the whole time. Fish will eat anything in the main, although these prefer plants, so they're not getting much by their plants, so I expect they're given a handful of berries to share amongst themselves a couple of times a day. And certainly they don't look underfed, that's absolutely sure, but they don't put in here large amounts of plants because they would eat them anyway. It wouldn't look like up to much. Here is an interesting, we've got a red-tailed catfish, which is one of the biggest catfishes. And again, these get sold to people in the hobby, and then they end up looking like that. So these are probably things which were bought tiny in Moscow with a little red tail, and they just grew and grew and grew. But it's a very nice fish. A friend of mine, David Sands, tried one once. Had to build an indoor pond to keep it. He got it up to full size in his house. And then there's the pacu. There's another red tail. Brachycephalus, or whatever it's called. What's it called? Oh, they don't have it. But they've got another full-size gourami here. Oh, they've got an arowana too. And they've got a full-size gourami over there. Well, it's not even really full-size because they get bigger than that, but these pacu really are big. They're the biggest. This Dakota's here. Love this. I've never seen that species get to that size. I think I had a small one of those. I think I've even written articles when I had it. But the pacu are really great. If you get to the inside of a pacu's mouth, you'll see that the teeth are really like human teeth. These are such big and old fish that their teeth have practically all gone. So you won't see teeth in there, but if you get a younger specimen, it's practically got barnacles growing on its gills. This is how big and old this one is. It's really impressive. I love this. And as fat as you like with eggs, but whether it will ever spawn, I think they're both females. They need a male and a big tilapia down there. By the stumpage. They're really good tanks. So thanks a lot for your attention. And yeah, the VDNH Aquarium. Excellent. I didn't even know it was here until today.